Had to bring Duke up.
Save your chair. Yeah.
There he is, man.
Are you gonna stand up here and hold down the fort again? I'm gonna stand up here and hold down the fort again.
Well, that's a good spot.
Well,
How do you
I think it was like 2 or 3 days ago now.
Will there be an answer question time? If we have any questions for y'all or them all, that we can get some answers maybe?
Concerning
View.
anything, yes.
Oh, hey, anything.
Yep.
It's like it was just started the other day.
All right, we'll go ahead and start out the meeting. We have a quorum tonight. We'll go ahead and begin with the secretary's report.
See, I've got the October minutes. There was a quorum present of Daryl Dreher, Janine Erickson, Deb Shooter, Danny Shooter, Dane Crowley, Brendan Knox, and Carl Baker was excused. It called to order approximately 7 p.m. Secretary's report. I read the September 2015 minutes. Kenny motioned to accept the September minutes. Dick Barlow gave the second. Motion was voted on and passed. Treasurer's report. Deb Shooter reported that we have $141.87 in the council checking account and $17,955.28 in the building fund account. The road service area report. Lucy and Ray were present on Mike's behalf to introduce a proposal to the council in response to declining revenues that we support increase in the tax mill rate from 3.45 to 3.84, roughly 11%. Road service area 26 has suffered a loss of 2 income sources. In response to the declining revenues, Mike has requested our understanding and support. The extra cost breaks down to approximately $78 for every $200,000 in taxes. Correspondence. Daryl read the notification of public hearing and also read a letter to the council from Alaska Safe Trails. Daryl opened nominations for 3 to 5 empty seats. After discussion was held concerning confusion over open seats, Andy made a motion to table the open nominations until the borough clerk could be consulted to clear the confusion. Ed Nelson made the second. Discussion was held and motion was voted on and failed. Gregory motioned to continue with nominations and nominated Charlene Carney. Daryl Dreher was nominated and accepted. Gregory Nilsson was nominated and accepted. Kathy Hummel was nominated and accepted. Brendan Knox was nominated and accepted. Paul Weber was nominated and accepted. Debbie Shooter was nominated and accepted. Bradford Empey was nominated and accepted. Janine Erickson was nominated and accepted. Randy Himmerl was nominated and accepted. And Jane Campbell was nominated and accepted her nomination as well. Ron Johnson was nominated and he also accepted. Carl Baker was nominated but was not present to accept his nomination. Nominations were closed for the evening. More discussion was held concerning open seats and the confusion surrounding the election. Daryl stated he would contact the borough clerk for guidance to fall in line with our bylaws. Andy made a motion to adjourn, and Dakota Digger, and I apologize but I didn't know his name, made the second. And the meeting was adjourned approximately 9 p.m. So that's the October minutes.
I'm sorry, what was his name?
Ed.
Ed. So we'll include that in. All right, can we have a motion to accept we have a motion from Ron to accept the secretary's report, and a second?
I'll second.
And a second, Kenny, or the gentleman?
Yeah.
Oh. All right, Kenny.
Have New Year's Eve.
Okay, and then
It's this darn chair, I don't like this chair at all.
in the December minutes,
It'll be shorter.
Dane Crowley, Dan Shooter, Debbie Shooter, Carl Baker were in attendance. The quorum was met. Dane Crowley chaired the meeting. Mike Shields gave the road report. The paper was passed out to the attendants with answers to many questions asked at this and other meetings. Deborah gave the treasurer's report, checking account 197.19, and the building fund $17,956. Patty motioned to accept the report, and Michelle gave the second. Mitzi Van Aslen asked for a copy of the sign-in sheet from the recent election. Kathy Hummel motioned to have a meeting to address the reading of the bylaws added to the agenda. Mitzi seconded the vote was cast, and the motion failed 10 to 12. Kenny Barber gave a report on the Sutherland Arena parking lot. There will be more construction this year to address the water and blacktop problems. Michelle Olson reported on the buyout for the river properties that is still in limbo. The flood zones will go away for over 870 residents of the Butte. Charlene Carney motioned to have parking lot lights and folding chairs purchased for the hall. Second by Bradford Empey. Ron Johnson suggested motion lights. Vote was cast. It passed 17 to 4. Kathy Hummel motioned to have a vote for the road service area increase put on the agenda for next month. Nancy gave a second. A vote was cast and passed 20 to 0, one abstained. Patty Barber, motion to adjourn, second by Michelle. Minutes were submitted by Patty Barber. Thank you, Patty.
One question?
Yeah, I do. Could you read that thing about buyout? What was that?
The river buyout. Michelle Olson reported on the buyout for the river properties that is still in limbo. The flood zones will go away for over 870 residents of the Butte.
May we have a motion to accept the minutes as read?
Go for it.
All right.
I need your name.
Olson, Pat.
Oh, sorry, Patty. Yep, just didn't recognize it. And then,
And a second. Ma'am? Pam.
that's Pam. Height, right?
All right, thank you. And on to the treasurer's report.
We have $118.52 in the checking account, and the building fund is $17,956.79.
May we have a motion to accept the treasurer's report as read?
I'll make a motion.
And a second? And a second for Patty. Thank you, Patty. All right, we're on to the road service area report. That's you, Mike.
That's me. Road service area report is, it's another month like the last two have been. We're waiting for winter to arrive, and it hasn't yet. I see Tony's here. I got a chance to talk to him today about Julie Marie. We did take a look at the problems there. That project will be going on the CIP list. I can't guarantee you what year it'll show up in, Tony, but it'll definitely be on the list at this point. Questions, complaints? Anybody having trouble with the roads?
There's snow on it.
If it had snow enough we could plow it, I'd love it, but it's not doing that so far.
Only recently, you shouldn't complain about that, really.
I know, that's true, I know, that's
Yeah.
true. I should
And I
straighten
hate
up and
this,
say
you
that.
know, nice cold weather, no snow, and then it warms up and it just turns to mush and then it freezes again. So kind of a limbo winter so far. Maybe it'll catch up with us in February. Darrell informed me that you might be taking a vote tonight on the proposal for an increase in the mill rates out here. And I'm here to answer any questions about that. I will tell you that this vote is yours as a community. I'm not going to try to drive you one way or another. All I wanted to do is give you information as to why we are requesting it, what's behind that, and it's a loss of revenue. And whether you support it or oppose it, that's your decision. But I wanted you to make it based on why are we asking for it and what would it accomplish. So are there any questions about that?
Go ahead.
One in the back?
What is it for?
It's primarily to continue doing upgrades to substandard roads. About half, a little better than half of the roads that we currently certify as maintainable by the borough do not meet borough standards, never have met borough standards. It's really hard to keep maintenance going on those because we're dealing with a substandard structure, basically. Some of it has to do with the kind of material that's in, more of it has to do with can we handle the water, particularly in flat ground down here. So we started a program with a target finish date of around 2030 to try to bring all the substandard roads up to a maintainable standard. That does not mean, there's been a rumor that that means bring everything up and pave it. I'm not interested in paving everything. I am interested in protecting our investment in that upgrade. So we're looking at things like recycled asphalt as a topping rather than a hard pavement. I can get recycled asphalt down for 1/10 the cost of putting hard pavement on. So in places where we're getting enough traffic that makes sense, we'll try to cap that just so we're not, if we spend $50,000 or $100,000 upgrading a road, I don't want to turn around in 5 years and have to spend that same amount of money before we can do something further with the road. That's just wasting some money. But that's what it's for. Try to continue that upgrade program.
I have a question, Mike. Now, you said last time around that one of the lost sources of income was the vehicle registration. Because one of our recently retired assemblymen came out with a program whereby people with vehicles over how old, 8 years, could permanently register their vehicles, which means that they are still out there using the roads, that we are now being asked to pay more to maintain. I see that as real inequitable.
Well, where the inequity comes in is we're not asking them to pay for higher costs. We're asking them, they're no longer paying for the routine maintenance of the road beyond that.
But they're still using
So-
them and degrading them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of a free, frankly, that whole proposal was vote getter, and it did get votes.
Of course it did.
Some of that tax for the roads coming from like tire tax and gas tax and such also, isn't it?
The only thing we get is the license tax.
Just the license
Yeah,
tax in
in
the
the
borough?
RSA, that's the only part of it that actually gets.
So I object to our underwriting, they're not covering their end of their daily use of the road system.
It was voted
And
on
we
by
tried that
people,
with the
wasn't it?
assembly.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
What's that?
That would take an action by the assembly to rescind that,
I
and
understand.
that, we brought that up earlier. Jim Sykes can speak to that as well. That's not going anyplace. That was a great vote getter, and right now that's, you'd play hell getting rid of that.
So by the same token, we can state our objection by voting against this road service increase.
You can. The end result of that statement, however,
We
could
would have
be,
poor roads.
well, we'll continue to try to upgrade roads, but it's gonna be within a smaller pot. And we will not see the impact of the loss of that license tax seriously until around 2020. For the next 4 or 5 years, it's gonna look pretty even, and it's because of the way Mr. Culver set up the funding for that. It begins to eat its own capital in 2020. By the time you get to 2030, it runs out of money altogether. So what do we lose from that? It's not a huge chunk, but it will cumulatively amount to quite a bit, $117,000 for this RSA. A big chunk of that, 60% of that, is eligible for matching funds. So it isn't just the 117,000. 60%, I could go out and get 50% matching funds with. That's gonna go away.
Okay, second half of that question. We recently had a redo on the Sullivan Road Bridge. I've also recently heard that the borough is in the process of determining the rate of interest at which the money used for that bridge is going to be repaid, and that the source of that income is going to be coming from our RSA. Is that correct?
No.
What is the source of that repayment money?
That repayment money had better be coming out of general funds because the RSA didn't have anything to do with that bridge.
Okay,
It's an RSA road, but it,
and there is no connection there.
not that I know of.
Okay, thank
I'll
you.
ask that I've got a road meeting tomorrow night with some of the big boys and I'll
If you
ask
would.
that question specifically.
They may laugh, but I hope not.
Yeah, yeah.
Ron had a question?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mike, I do have a question. You said that there's, when you lose the vehicle registration fee, there's matching fees that go with that. So a question that you had, an answer that you made to a question earlier was not completely true. Motor vehicle registration tax is not all that funds RSA, because you made the statement that we lost some matching funds. So there are other funds besides vehicle registration tax. Could you go into that a little more detail, Mike? You did an excellent presentation a couple months ago
Okay.
on this.
Where do we get our funding from for the RSA? Over 90% of it comes from your property tax, the RSA mill rate for the RSA here. Less than 10% comes out of the vehicle registration tax. And that's the one pot where about 40% of it actually goes into fund base operations, like our normal routine maintenance out here. When we get that money, where does it tend to go? In this RSA, it tends to go into what we call optional maintenance fund. That's a little slush fund, so if we get a really bad year or we get a storm damage situation, we've got a pot of money we can reach into and go fix it now, instead of having to go back, ask for money, and 6 months or a year later, we go back and fix the problem. I don't like playing that game, and neither would you. The other 60% is listed as dust control. This was another one of Culver's kind of playing with the terminology. What he did was pin it to that 60% can only be used for dust control. What's included in dust control? It can be anything from calcium chloride applications to wrap to full hot asphalt pavement. That I can get 50-50 matching funds from the borough, from the general capital improvements fund in the borough. It doesn't come out of the RSA. We're losing that part. So when Culver said, well, the only amount you're losing is this, he forgot to account for the 50-50 match as part of that. That's the reason that thing starts crawling up. The kicker in that whole system is if the state and the borough projections are correct, again, by 2030, That fund no longer exists, so we not only lose the pavement money, the dust control money, we lose the base chunk that comes into to help fund routine maintenance.
That answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, I did bring some extra copies of the handouts that I gave last month, so if anybody didn't get one or wants one, grab me before I sail out of here.
Anybody else have any issues or concerns about the road service area or questions about this for Mike? One in back.
Hey, go ahead.
I know you've mentioned this in prior meetings, but could you refresh us on what you're asking for the increases in the tax to do?
Okay, what we're asking for is to go up roughly 11% from 2.45 to 2.84.
3.45 to 3.84.
To 2.8.
Three, on your handout from 2 months ago.
Yeah. I gotta read my own handout.
Very well done, thank you, Mike.
Yeah, we're now paying 3.45, we're asking for it to go to 3.84. For a $250,000 house, that would increase your taxes $97 a year. For $1 million house, how many people that own $1 million house? It goes up $390 a year. Could we get all that in 1 year? Let me play with that one before I ask Jim to answer that. The tax cap, what the borough tends to call the tax cap, which is actually a revenue cap. It doesn't cap the tax rate. What it does is say you can only increase your revenue this amount, how much money you take in. So we've got instances where you can actually increase your mill rate. You'll never get that tax bill, 100% of it, because you've already violated the revenue cap. In other words, I can't collect that amount of money, I don't care what the number it says. So could we get that big an increase in 1 year? I seriously doubt it. Could we maybe have it implemented over a 3 or 4 year period? That's a possibility. So why did we shoot for 3.84? This wasn't just my decision, by the way. All 3 members of your RSA board kicked this around. We kicked it around with our road superintendent, Will Berrickman, and said, well, really what we're doing is sending a message to the assembly. At the same time, we're trying to inform you, the community. And the message to the assembly is, you're not funding your road infrastructure at a level that you can maintain over time. So we're gradually losing that war. Now, it may take 20 or 30 years to lose it to the point where everybody starts screaming, but I hate for us to be spending money on roads where the money is simply pounding sand in a rat hole. I can make a fix 1 year, if I have to make the same fix the next year and the year after that and the year after, there's something wrong with what we're doing. We just keep repeating it. Does that make sense?
Do you have one of those extra handouts?
Yep. And there are 2 of them. One is, what is your road service area, how does it function? And then there were a whole bunch of specific questions that came up, not only from this community council, but South Connect. Who else?
Back here, we'd like a couple of them.
Why don't you push through those around? Good question. As long as I'm standing here and you're close, we'll hold it around.
But if you want to, yeah. But I can read it.
Any more issues or concerns for Mike? Okay, we'll switch over then to the assembly report. Mr. Sykes.
First of all, that's not a dangerous pile, is it?
Only if you do something bad with it.
It isn't ticking, so
It
it's
looked pretty
okay.
important when it came
It's not
in.
dangerous, yeah. Well, first of all, Happy New Year. Great to see so many of you, and hope we have a good year. The Assembly passed funding for the next phase of Jim Creek, and it basically incorporates widening the turns so that larger rigs and trailers can do the asphalted loop. In Jim Creek, there's going to be a campground installed and electricity run to the outhouse. And Kenny can probably fill me on any details I forgot.
This is just the parking lot you're talking
Yeah,
about, Jim?
not Jim Creek, but the parking lot, the pavilion.
No, there's going to be a trail. The trail is being constructed so that you can have a one-way trail and go through.
Where is the power going to the
Oh,
outhouse?
the power's going to the parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah, the power's going to the parking lot. And then the campground will be off to the west part of the parking lot. And I don't know, what are we thinking, 20 spots in there for starters?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was 20.
Okay, and so that's going to happen this next year, and I'm really pleased to see the progress that's being made on that. On Christmas Eve, different subject, the interactive budget went on the website, and so first of all we got the budget online a couple of years ago, and this is, if you click on the budget, you can choose what chart you want to look at, and if you can click on any point and drill down pretty far. We do not have the individual checks that are written to whatever, but we expect that's going to be there by March or April. And so IT's been very cooperative, and we're starting to get that information out there, and the kind of transparency that I've been working for a couple of years, and people are interested in it. And on that line, we're having I think a mostly day-long budget meeting on Saturday, January 30th, where we're going to hash through theirs. It's open to the public, and if any of you got ideas, you're welcome to say them there. But it's kind of the budget kickoff to see what we can do. We're starting this about 2 months earlier than we have in the past, and I think we're going to have some serious challenges. Everybody knows that oil's around $30 a barrel now, so the borough is not immune from that, and we're going to have to make some tough choices. Some of you may have read in the paper an article about wood smoke being a problem. It has been a problem in the valley for a long time. I still use wood burning stove, and it burns pretty clean. But they have an air monitor here in the Butte, and they don't have air monitors everywhere. And unbeknownst to me, the past 2 years, neither the mayor or the manager really clued me in. There have been violations, health violations, that mainly affect young people and older people the most. But it's the PM 2.5. It's stuff. It really is basically stuff from smoke. It's stuff you can't see, and that's fairly dangerous. You know, we learn more as time goes on, and so the bottom line is that if you have violations of air quality 3 years in a row, you end up getting involved in the EPA. And if you hate the EPA now, I'm in 100% agreement with Senator Stoltz. You'll really hate them later if we end up getting involved, because it starts a 20-year process, and we have to have programs that reduce it. It can, Fairbanks has been on this. I think they're about on their 20th year. Juneau had to do the same thing. And so, number one, it is healthier if you burn dry wood and you've got a fairly clean burning stove, if you can do that. If you have a backup fuel, we have a new tool that we did not have before. We have a forecast that talks about days that are likely to be potential problems for this PM 2.5, or where you've got the temperature inversion and the smoke just kind of sits in still air. And I have the link here somewhere, but it is asked to be highlighted. I'll find it here. Anyway.
I think we've got it here we got a email from, or correspondence from Frankie Barker about that. It's got the www.mysuit.gov and the Burnwise, Alaska.
Yeah, and there's one above that that has the forecast. If you want to look at your own, if you've got asthma or you've got friends or relatives or children or whatever that may be affected, you can look and see if there's a work. So far, they've been doing these measurements for like 10 years, and most often the problems occur in November, December, and January. So basically, if we get through the next 3 weeks, we are unlikely to have a violation. But if we have 3 years in a row of violations, the EPA will come in. And so I'm encouraging people to kind of be aware of this. It is healthier on one aspect. If you can cover your wood, have a covered wood shed to store your wood and dry it out for longer periods of time. Everybody knows that. And I have a friend who worked for the Extension Service in Fairbanks. He actually did a lot of science on stuff of how to burn wood most efficiently in your wood box, and most people figure it out in their own stove because they all work a little differently, but building sort of an inverted pyramid when you can, and stuff like that, that's available at the Extension Service. And I've got some pamphlets here that they used in Fairbanks, because it's kind of a strange deal, but the air monitor's in Butte, but it also affects Sutton, it affects other parts of the valley. The campaign is to try and make this borough wide, and just try and see if we can avoid getting involved with the EPA, because it's going to be unpleasant, it's going to cost a lot of money, and some of the money that Mike may want for roads is not going to be available. It's that simple. So if anybody has any questions about it, most of you who burn wood know how to do it efficiently. I'd encourage it, and if you do have an alternative fuel on a day that we're likely to have inversions, and consider using the backup fuel that day instead of wood. My backup fuel, I can burn either propane or wood, so I'm lucky in that respect.
So coal's good too? Coal's good too?
Coal? I don't burn coal, but you could, I guess, if you have it.
Being facetious.
So those are the main things I've got. I'm kind of a process-oriented guy, so I like transparency, I like input. I'm going to try and make sure that anybody that has any budget ideas, I'm working with IT on this so that people can do this at their home in a similar way that you did with the state budget. The governor had, this $3.5 billion hole, and they created a page to do the software. We've been given permission from the state to basically use their spreadsheet and adapt it to the borough, and I want to invite, what are the things you like, what are the services you like, what are the services you don't like, and the cost. Because we are going to be facing, I think, a very, very tough set of budget choices here. So we are sincerely interested in your ideas. The other aspect about transparency is we are, let's see, I'm off my train of thought here. I had one more thing to say about it, and it's coming. I don't know, I'll think of it. But anyway, we are going to go through the budget process, and like I said, it's going to be tough. We're going to have to hunker down, and I guess that what I've seen is my whole push is to get more of the taxes off of the backs of the property owners and diversify the tax base. And so what has happened in the past few years is that the tax base has actually narrowed. One of the things that we are going to face, and it's not popular to talk about, but it's a reality right now in the core area across the river between Anchorage and Palmer, they've already calculated that 20% of the people are the retired veterans and retired people and veterans are who get the $218,000 tax write-off. Right now, 20% of the property owners are using that in the core area. The projection is that 40% will be doing that in another 10 years. So we are approaching a point where nearly half of the taxpayers may be subsidizing the other half of the taxpayers. And I don't think that's going to be acceptable. And so we have to take a look at that long-range future and figure out a way that it's fair for everybody. And I think that it's going to be a very tough discussion because nobody wants to lose the tax exemption that they've got. So those things are on the horizon. Hey, it's going to be a fun year. Bring popcorn when you come. So thanks a lot. And I did want to mention one other thing. The meeting tonight did not make it on the borough calendar, so please send a letter to the clerk where your schedule is. If you have already, please send them a copy of the one that you sent with your schedule because they didn't have a meeting schedule.
I thought they did.
So it wasn't on tonight's. So great. Thanks a lot.
All right, correspondence. We have Matsu Borough Planning and Land Use, Frankie Barber, environmental planner. Pretty much echoes the things that Jim just said, so I'm not going to go through the whole letter for you. Those websites that he was talking about are here available for you if you'd like to come up and take a look. Did you guys have that other letter from correspondence letter? There you go. All right, we've received correspondence from IAID, Institute for ANC Director Education, 9th Annual Director and Council Member Training and Certification course. This covers 2 days show you how to enhance your board or council's effectiveness today and beyond with over 900 ANC directors, tribal council members, CEOs, and administrators attending our training courses since they were launched in 2008. This will be held March 21st and 22nd, 2016 with a total of 14 sessions. You may select sessions based on your interest. If you want to early registration for this, if received by March 4th, 2016, and or for 3 or more attendees from the same organization, qualify for a 50% attendee discount. It's $697 per attendee for early registration, so received by March 4th or for 3 or more attendees from the same organization. Registrations received after March 4th for less than 3 attendees, or $747 per attendee. So if anybody is interested in attending these courses, the information for that is here available for you also. We have some new business from Pam Hyde.
I just wanted a chance to make sure that everybody in the Butte knows that there is such a thing as a recycling center here in the valley. It is totally free to recycle. About half of what you're calling garbage right now can be recycled. The recycling center is on just off the Palmer-Wasilla Highway as you would turn to go down to the landfill. When you get to that entrance, turn right again. So it's really handy. It is, as I said, about half of what's going in is garbage. Doesn't have to be. It's a nonprofit organization, so it's not like we're a part of the government or anything like that. We're just here to be able to see that the valley has a chance to recycle things, and with the cost of landfill going up and up and up continually, it's a great idea, as well as the fact that it's good for Mother Nature and your own environment. I brought along some flyers. We're open every day except Sunday and Monday. There's all the different kinds of things, plastics and metals and newspapers and office type paper, cardboard boxes, all kinds of things that can be recycled. If you are a company and you're interested in finding out more about that, call the number and they can hook you up with all kinds of information about how to make it simple. As I said, recycling doesn't cost you anything, landfill does, so that's kind of a nice plus. Because we're a nonprofit though, it's a case where you need to do the sorting. So when you bring it in, and we've got a drive-through area, there'll be volunteers there that can help you take it out of your car and put it in the proper slots. And of course the flyer tells you how to sort it out. There are also now 2 companies in the valley that will come and pick it up, and at least one of them will bring you a container, whatever size you want. You can put it all together in the same container and not sort it. They just ask that you make sure it's dry, so that a half a soda can doesn't end up ruining all the paper and cardboard, that sort of thing. But they will do that. I think it's like $5 a week. They'll do it on the same day your garbage would normally be hauled. And so that way it saves, if you're thinking, gee, I'd really like to do that, but I don't know that I want to go to all that trouble. But there's another answer for you too that's pretty inexpensive. $20 a month would probably be less than you're paying if it were all going into the landfill. So I have flyers if anybody's interested. Mitzi?
Real quick, what about glass?
Glass is in as soon as we can.
Okay,
It is,
but
yeah,
right now.
right now we can't take glass.
Okay.
Anchorage can take glass. You can take it with you when you go to town, and you go the Highland Road exit at Eagle River, and as long as it's during regular daytime hours, they will take it there for free. If you have only a relatively small amount, like an armload of glass, you can take it to Target. Target has made a national commitment that they will accept glass. So they ask that you just be a customer and bring just an armload at a time. So that's the answer for glass. We are trying really hard to get the word out, because we are finally at a stage with our nice building and all the equipment we need. With our 7 paid employees, we can take 5 times as much as we're getting. We get about 100 vehicles a day coming through, bringing their recyclables, but we can take 5 times that much with the amount of staff we've got. So at that point, it would make us really profitable, because of course we're nonprofit, we have to be able to pay the employees. And so once we're profitable, then we can look at some of these marginal things like glass. We would love to be able to take glass, but it means we have to take on another full-time employee. We've got to get the crusher and all that sort of thing. So as soon as we get enough people knowing about it and taking part in it, bringing us the recyclables, then we can take a whole lot more things too.
Can you explain where you're looking?
If you go up the Palmer Wasilla Highway, before you get to Trunk Road, there would be the turnoff. If you're coming from Palmer, you would turn off to the left to go down to the landfill. There's a stoplight there, make that turn, and then when you get to the entrance of the landfill, there's a stop sign there. Look off to the right, there's hazardous waste material, animal control, and then a nice big green building, which is the new recycling building. And there's, I'm a part of the education department. Well, I am the education department, yes. And so I do field trips. We love to have kids, Boy Scouts, classrooms, that sort of thing. A lot of adult groups, like we've got a quilters group that decided they wanted to know more about recycling. So they're bringing their quilters group. We do adult groups too. And there's all kinds of information there about everything you ever didn't even need to know about recycling. You can find out by going in there.
Are you taking any electronics yet?
We don't, but we do have flyers that tell you all about where to take them.
Right, I was just like South Anchorage, right?
Well, there's one out here too now.
Oh, is there?
I
Oh.
can't remember where it is, but you call up the recycling center,
Okay.
I can tell you where to take electronics.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any other issues from this lady?
Oh, where are your flyers?
Right here.
Do you think, I was thinking, would you mind setting them by the,
I'd be happy to.
the door to go out and we could grab
The
one?
one that I showed you, which is all about our hours and how to find us and what we take. But this one is about how to get started. And sometimes that's helpful because it can seem overwhelming. We don't suggest that you start by trying to do all of these things. Do the things that are most difficult for you, milk jugs, soda cans, all that sort of thing. Do the easy ones, and then it kind of gets in your blood, and you will want to make it. But I'll put them over there where people can take them or just pass them around. And they're in
All right.
I just start them up here and let you guys, I have some more in the car. I did.
Any other questions for this lady at this time?
Thanks.
All right, I've been informed that Jim has something else to say. Before you bring that up, Jim, if we have been delinquent on getting that notice to the borough, could you bring that to the clerk, telling her that our meetings are the second Wednesday of every month?
I'll do that, but
And we'd
they
like that
they do look to you to send them
And
in
we
your schedule.
will do that, but just to be sure in case in the interim, I guess. Thank you. And then you had something?
I just forgot to mention it, I guess maybe because it's a little unpleasant, but anyway, the flood buyout program that we applied for this past fall, we applied for 2 programs, different programs through FEMA, and they didn't fund any of our applications. The odd thing about that is, well, I thought we were lucky to get them in actually, but they haven't told us why. And I think that the homeowners deserve to know why. I think the borough deserves to know why. And I think our emergency services department deserves to know why. And I went to Washington with the attorney and the manager in December, and we first picked up the rumor of this when we were talking with Senator Murkowski, and I'm going to ask them to follow up and make sure that we know why. I've gone to our state FEMA representative, and they've gone to the regional representative, but it was a national program, and I guess that this is a national program, we don't count. But this is a slightly related matter. The good thing is the stuff that the information we gathered to do the filing can be used to refile this year, so we don't have to go and gather it all. And so I haven't given up on it. The government does understand, but they don't want to pay insurance. These vicious-looking documents that Patty pointed out are, if anybody wants this, this is the summary information of the completed projects at Circleview in 2015. So basically the main project was about $640,000 to rebuild dike number 5. And the borough now has an obligation to maintain that dike for 25 years. And so if you want technical information, anything, help yourself. This is a summary, and now the only thing that really remains to be done are dikes 4, 3, 2, and 1.
I want the black clips is off.
Don't ever say you never got anything from the government.
I got the trophy.
All right, that was all that we had up on our thing, and you said that you might have a question at the end, Pat?
Oh, got it, you know, I'm getting older and I've already forgot.
Hi. Hey, you know, I was gone for a few months.
I'm
I
great.
wanted to kind of get caught up on what was happening while I was gone. Before I left, we were talking about somebody trying to change the speed limit out here on the highway from 55 to 45 maybe.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And so where are we at with that?
The lady was supposed to come back on the next meeting with a letter, and she still hasn't returned.
So the community council hasn't done anything.
No, she said that she was gonna bring back a letter that was, and that's what the council voted on, that we would look at her letter and possibly sign that letter and send it in.
It seemed like a good idea.
It did.
They want me to turn your call.
Kathy?
I spoke to the guy at the DOT, he said you guys could just write any letter, just suggesting that they come out and look at the situation. What they typically expect is for the community council to ask them to address it without really telling them exactly what to do. They'll look at the whole picture, and from what he said there's a no passing zone, which would probably be the next step for that, would be to turn that into a lower speed zone, because it's the part coming, just the part where it's double lane. But he said that has to start with the community council, so you guys could just, you know, pencil it, come on down and look.
Right, if the council wanted us to address that, we could make a motion as such, and then we would have to put that on the agenda, so everybody would be apprised of it. Pat?
Okay, I don't know if y'all came in from Palmer Way up here, but this afternoon you seen the car crossed. Okay, that just rolled this afternoon. When we were driving up here, right before the curb, we got past going into the curb. Now, something's gonna have to be done, and I would like to suggest, perhaps maybe one of the speed guns, somehow they could fix up or something, and we could start getting these clocked right by our place. That place, people have to be going 70, 75 miles an hour on the straight stretch. You're taking your life in your own hands if you're coming back from the Butte, going to the Palmer, and you want to turn into our business, or vice versa, okay? It's ridiculous. People, I don't know, they're speeding, it's like back in the 60s, okay? We all know what we used to do, you know, find a straight stretch, but come on.
Well, I mean,
I have noticed that there's an unmarked cop that has been parking at the end of that during business, when people are coming to and from work at least.
I try to get them in our place all the time.
Also one that's parking down Bodenberg past where the tree line is, so that he can see the highway both directions with people.
We try to
can't
let
see
him sleep behind
There
our
was also
van.
one behind the fire station here lately that's been parking behind the fire station so that he can go out.
But we need to get this cut
that is a
down. This is
good point.
ridiculous. They're passing on yellow lines, everything. And this thing that I saw tonight, I hate driving out here. I hate it. Because of what I just experienced tonight, I'm just going, oh my God. You know, this is craziness. And I don't think there's enough of them being out here. Did you not say, did you have some kind of a thing when we were talking earlier about the troopers? Do you think they're leaving?
Well, there is a reduction in force, and they are no longer going to use Palmer as a training center.
Jeez.
And so there will be fewer troopers on duty than there are now.
Miriam,
so
comment, yes.
do I need to make a motion to have the Butte Community Council write a letter to DOT to?
You would have to make a motion to put it on the agenda for the next meeting, so the whole community would be apprised, and then we would bring
Well,
that.
I think I would like to do that, because I really think that's an important thing before we get somebody else, other young person T-boned down here.
All right,
Yep.
we have a motion on the table then, do we have a second? Pat, second. All right, issues and discussion is open on this motion. Does anybody have anything they'd like to speak to on this motion?
Yeah, if you would like to, you can go to the state's traffic data, and then you can also go to their traffic fatality study and get an idea as to what type of volume of traffic is out here, how it's increased over the years, and what the statistics are on fatalities on, I would say, not just this road, but looking at similar roads that are double lane like that, with lots and lots of feeder traffic coming in, a lot of industrial use, and a lot of young kids, so, and a lot of tourists.
Yeah.
And it was actually you asking the floor too, Missy.
I know, but.
That's all right, go ahead.
Let me ask you.
Now.
Wait, 1 second, please.
Barry, can I write your motion to write a letter to the DOT and request they come out and evaluate the safety issues
I
along
believe
the...
that would be correct.
Okay, that's what I wanted to ask was, then let's clarify this.
is somebody going to bring a letter next time to vote on, or are we just gonna vote on whether we're going to send a letter?
Well, my understanding that Daryl needs a motion to put it on next month's agenda.
Well, if it's on the agenda, then the whole community would have a chance to weigh in on it. There's a lot of business owners not present tonight, up and down that highway corridor. There's 3,000 and some people in this community, and I don't even see 300 here, so we're not even a tenth of what would be there. So I would like to see it. That has been our policy in the past. If anything comes up that's of great notice to the community, we bring it up so that everybody has a chance to speak.
Well, I certainly think
Signs out at the store?
Yeah, it's certainly a safety issue, I just can't
Yes,
see
ma'am.
how.
So what we're gonna do is just,
Mitzi's on the floor now, please.
so we're just going to, have a motion to bring this up for people to discuss next month.
And if you would wish, we can add right on there and construct a letter to the DOT at that time if it is voted in the affirmative.
Okay.
Well, would you like it to amend it? Do you
Yes.
mind having it amended to that?
No, that would be fine,
There we go.
because let's get the ball rolling.
All right.
Draft letter,
Yeah.
too.
All right, now we're all clear on the motion and the amendment to the motion. Is there any more issues or concerns that anyone would like to bring up about this motion?
Who made the second?
Pat made the second.
Call for the question.
Gregory is called for the question. May we have a show of hands in the affirmative who would like this brought up on the agenda or put on the agenda for next time around? Oh, I'm going to require help for this.
Counting.
Hey, put your hands up.
Okay, please keep your hands up high.
Oh.
1,
You-
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. One more time. 1, 2. You're putting your hands down as I count, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. You put your hand up later, sir?
No, I didn't.
I didn't count you, though.
23.
I don't know if you counted here.
23. I've seen you count him.
I see 23 too.
All right.
Oh,
We
don't
have
forget
2
your
counts at
sights.
23. Can we have a show of as against? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The motion has passed. Thank you so much.
Okay, just wait, I don't wanna hear you complaining next time you come over to play Farkle.
I didn't complain.
Mary Ann?
Well, it's just me, I'm just trying to get caught up with my housekeeping here. So where are we at with talking about a comprehensive plan?
It was never brought before the council again.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I mean, we had Larry DeFilbus talk, and I think Jim spoke a little bit, and then, of course, the elections came up, and that's history. Okay, so nothing's in the works.
No, ma'am, no motions were made, and the council wasn't asked to carry through. Sir?
I'm with Raven Electric. I'm here to look at some lights for your parking lot. I live out here in the I'm a resident.
You're supposed to be here at this meeting.
What's that?
You're supposed to be here at this meeting.
You know what?
Just wait until we're
You
done.
think this highway's scary? Drive the Glen Highway from Anchorage every night. Hour and 45 minutes
Oh,
tonight to
God.
get from Inland to North Peters Creek.
Well, I'm certain that's an improvement that nobody's going to contend with you.
Who is this person I need to talk to about the lighting?
We need a monorail.
But after
we're done, that's fine.
Any other issues or, yes, sir?
I was kind of curious if, concerning the air monitoring equipment, they said, the EPA said they collected a bunch of data. I saw the article in the Frontiersman, but it really doesn't specify that the material in the collectors are actually smoke material, at least not to when I read in the Frontiersman. Do they have data that specifies that it is smoke and how much and what part? Or do they just have size?
They can't identify exactly what's smoke, but they've eliminated, they've eliminated most other sources. There just aren't very many sources of it.
They do it based on, excuse me, I used to do this stuff. I ran those little PM10s, and they run it, and then the person who's operating it will write down the climatological, meteorological information and make a general estimate that, well, it's an inversion, people are burning. And when you open the thing, you can even smell the wood smoke coming off of it. But then we've had several violations that are in March, April, May that are dust. And those are even more extreme than our PM10. So it's a combination. And until they see you going over the PM10 a few times, that's when they'll take the money and say, let's assay it and see if it's pollen, or we found it to be, we were able to control our dust by just putting caps on granaries, because that reduced it by 20% just by chafe when the trains were coming through, and then we could keep our wood stoves burning.
So they really don't even know what the material is?
Yeah, and then they'll eventually say, look at the whole piece of pie and try to reduce just down to X versus eliminate one of the items. So we're a long way to go before they start stuffing up our wood stoves.
That didn't
for at least
surprise
a-
you that a government entity didn't know what it was from, did it?
For at least a year there, Mr. Harrison that lived in that, where the air monitor quality station is, chased children off away from it, because once they figured out what it was, they were throwing dust in the air at them. So I would like that brought to the borough, that was part of what was going on. They were ripping around it with ATVs and tossing dust towards it.
The other day, I drove past that thing, and Pay Dirt Rental has quite a belcher. And it was just going right into the air monitor. I went, whoever put this here, did it, they cited it inappropriately if they didn't know Pay Dirt was a, what you would call a impact source right next to the station. It's supposed to be kind of away from any direct pollution.
That's why they moved it
So
right
there
off
it
the
was,
highway,
just
because
kinda
the
going right
ATVs
in.
were causing so much dust. And that's one of the readings they have on that too, is when it was
They
right
can't,
on
they
the
can't
highway.
do dust, but they do
Yeah.
both the PM10s, which are the dust, and the PM2.5.
Well, we could all kick in and get Pay Dirt a good catalytic stove, because I don't know if he's got a drum in there or not.
Probably burning waste oil.
No, it's nice and wide.
Any other issues or concerns besides Pay Dirt Stove? Missy?
I've got two things. I'd still like to see you guys back here so that we've got more room to put people out here, especially since it seems that we're getting so much interest in the community council, because it would give us more room to put more people out here, more chairs and so on. And the other thing is, and then you wouldn't be blocking the fire exit if we suddenly get five. But the other thing is I asked last month for the list of people who voted in November. I'd like to still get a copy of that. Did anyone bring that with them this time?
I wasn't at the last meeting, wasn't aware.
But it was in the minutes, she read it. I know, but it was listed in the minutes.
No, but can we provide that for her?
Yes.
We can't provide that for you.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to get that list because I'd like to make a database so that we can get information out to folks in the Butte area about these different things.
I believe Patty already had a database for us too of more, wasn't it, or was it Lucille that had that?
I think it was Lucille.
Okay, I'll check with her and see too. I think she had quite a few signatures on
Okay.
it. Okay.
Oh yeah, Dane asked me to make up a web page, my name, and get you guys' web page back for you, and I went out searching. I found it. I found it. And here it is. W dot Butte, all little, community, all little, all one word, because domain names are typically the name of your organization, so this will be better, because most of the things I saw when I went ButteCC took me right to Montana's Kitty Cat Club. And it came with a email for sending, and like you can now upload minutes and stuff, and then I can put them on there. And then we got all the other minutes from the past uploaded to it. And all your latest, greatest, your air quality study for the first 10 years is up there, and the little button to your particulate reading every minute of the day.
Very nice.
And you can go look at my property, and yours, and yours, and yours. And we can play raffle tickets. And it's little Butte, ButteCC, that's a good place for the little abbreviations, but this makes it easier if somebody's looking for it, the whole name's in it. ButteCC at, I know, I had to do it. Google lost the Butte on our map. Should we trust them? No, really, Google lost you on their map, and I don't even think that's humanly possible, but they did.
Well, then they have,
So anyway, there you go, I found it.
Okay, now what's this Gmail address for?
That's if you hate the thing, if the links don't work, if you have something to upload to it. So you could, if you have the minutes electronically, just upload them, or send them to that email as attached a document, then I can upload them through the system.
Is that the one with the 2 gavels?
Yeah. Oh, no,
Oh,
no.
no, when you go on there, there's 2 gavels.
I
Or
don't
you go
do
the one that
gavels.
has the little house. The Monopoly house.
Andy, the other one?
Seems like we're just going off on a tangent. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, we can. No, right there.
Well, motion is second. Any issues or concerns against it? All right, thank you so much for attending. We appreciate it. Thank you all for coming.
We know when it's called.